Eight game on DraftKings MLB slate, 11-game on FanDuel MLB slate. Very different slates on both, as Sheets was pointing out to me before the show. I can't complain at all about yesterday. I barely played. I played, I think, a total of 5 lineups. All of them cashed, and then I finished 7th in this $50 tournament last night that I don't even know what it was. It was just one of those weird, because it was a 3-game slate. So I literally no stacking, just found the right pieces, and they happened to work out. So had a good day. Sheets, how you doing? And any overall thoughts on this situation?
Yeah, so it's a really big difference between these two slates. The FanDuel starts, forget that it starts a half hour early. We'll deal with that. But the FanDuel slate you can access both Skeens and Cole that you can't access at DraftKings, and also, for that matter, you could access the Yankees on FanDuel. So I actually went through both. I mean, at least I ran my projections, and we'll touch on FanDuel as well as we get through. As a matter of fact, if you wouldn't mind, let's just start there so we can at least
Sure.
talk about it. So the first game I have here on FanDuel is Yankees Detroit, and the way I have everybody rated here, as I mentioned, Skeens is available, and I mean, it doesn't get better than Skeens against Seattle, right? But you do have Cole against Detroit as well, and I have Cole very, very live today. Almost the same as Skeens, not quite, but pretty close. And I do have the Yankees as on FanDuel very, very viable. Not one of the top stacks for some reason, but I have them kind of right in that second tier. And the only other thing I'll mention about those 4 games, I guess, is that Philly is actually showing up as well. So Philly with a freaking 6 million total. So there are 2 completely different slates. So I do like, from those first 4 games, I do like Philly as one of my top stacks over there. And I do like, obviously, both Skeens and Cole and the Yankees as top plays as well. I don't really get too much of the Arizona-Tampa game. So actually there's 5 other games over there. Wow. So that's my really quick view of the FanDuel piece. I mean, I know you didn't really look at it in depth, but kind of eyeballing it, seeing as you already looked at DraftKings, where would you think like Cole and Skeens fit in, on FanDuel and Yankees and Philly, because those are like the real differentiators.
Yeah, I think that's the major thing, but I do think Skeens is the probably the top play. I will point out that game has some serious weather risk.
I saw that
Pittsburgh game, so that's one thing. And then I think Philly on FanDuel would probably be my favorite stack. Yeah, I think it's fair to say. I think Philly.
Who's it? Corbin?
Corbin.
I'm just guessing. Yeah, okay.
If you throw a lefty against the Phillies in general, you could see. You see what happened yesterday. They scored 500 runs, so maybe you don't play him for that reason. But they've also had a lot of experience against Corbin, and they've hit him pretty hard. So I would love Philly over there, and I do like. Anytime I can play Skeens, and on FanDuel, it's pretty easy to get to it. I agree that you could make an argument for Cole, but I think Skeens is just, the upside is just unmatched at the moment. So I would probably go Skeens as my most used SP1 if the weather was permissible.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I got like 4th or so in that, or 4th or 5th in that morning track thing on DraftKings yesterday,
Nice.
and I had Philly, but I didn't have the freaking psycho guy. I didn't have the Weston Wilson.
Oh, I know.
It's just a little annoying, but that was like what they said. It was the 10th guy in the history of Philly baseball to hit the cycle. That's a lot of games. It's a lot of games that organizations played.
Yeah. No, it's funny. I actually you'd be glad you missed my thing, because I was making a very strong case on that. There's no way you can profitably play a 5-man Philly stack.
Right. That's right.
And then they score 11 runs. But what's funny is that I actually had the right pieces, like the right guys with home runs for other teams, so it didn't matter to me actually. Anyway, just kind of funny. All right, so let's should we go game by game for the DraftKings slate?
Yeah, and again, I'll just throw in, just because I have them listed, that I do have the Yankees, the KC and Cincinnati as actually secondary stacks as well on FanDuel. So we'll go over it. So we'll get there when we go to 6 o'clock. Maybe we'll start with FanDuel at 6, and then we'll head into DraftKings. Big freaking slate for a Friday. And as a matter of fact, remember, as you like to tell me, I mean, expect perhaps some lineup changes. Maybe
I wouldn't expect it on. Sometimes to open a series, usually it's Wednesday, Thursday that I'm looking for the lineup changes more. But
boy, oh boy, look at all these games. I mean, I'm looking at this and there's a
the FanDuel one looks a lot more daunting than the DraftKings one does.
yeah. All right, let's go. Let's go to DraftKings here. I have DraftKings a little more manageable. I have two main pitchers and then three other guys that are kind of beneath them, and then three main stacks and four beneath them. So I'm pretty organized here. What do you think of Boston, Baltimore?
I was planning to go game. Oh, so Boston, Baltimore. Yeah. Because I was planning to go game by game because I sort of hadn't.
We are going game by game. I'm just giving you a summary before you.
Yeah. No. I appreciate it. Actually, I was just trying to figure out. I think that it's tough to play righties against Boston profitably. It's hard to get the amount of points you want, but Burns obviously is one of the better pitchers on the slate. So it's a little bit of a tricky situation. He hasn't been especially electric lately. I'm not worried about him putting up a giant number in general against Boston. I'm sure some things could happen. But overall, I'm going to go back to what I keep saying, and it hasn't exactly killed me for some reason, even though they haven't gone nuts. But I've been getting the right pieces. And yesterday I just had, I think I just had Henderson and Mullins, who both hit home runs, and Mullins also had whatever. They both had 20, I think. I'm going with look. I don't think I'm going to end up using Burns. I do think I'm going to end up playing Baltimore some.
I have Burns as one of the secondary pitchers. Again, I have five main pitchers, and he's one of them, but he's not in my top two. So I think he's playable. But like you said, I mean, he hasn't really been a big, huge fantasy producer, and Boston's tough. And it's a good park for hitting. To that point, I have Baltimore as one of my stacks. They're not one of my top three, but they're one of my top, I guess, 7. So they're right under that. So I would definitely play some Baltimore. And I guess Burns and Baltimore are I regard them similarly, like not top priorities, but I'm definitely getting there pretty quickly.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The thing I'm trying to understand is I don't really know why, and it's been pretty accurate. So I have to give them credit, Vegas, but I feel like Baltimore doesn't project ever as well as I'd expect for an offense that's as elite as theirs is, and I just feel like this is another one of those days. So sign me up for the Baltimore when people aren't going to play it. All right, moving over, we've got. Oh wait, we just got a new thing. Oh, that's interesting. One of our other companies, Miami, New York. Sorry, Cheech, you want to start this one off? Sorry, I'm having trouble navigating my screens. I was sort of rushed in here.
Yeah. So this is the kind of the beginning of the chalk. Both pitching and hitting actually on the Mets side. Minaya against Miami is rated one of the top 2 pitchers for me, and one of the top 2 owned. And the Mets, I have them as one of the top 3 stacks. And let me see what the ownership looks like over there. I'm not they're the highest owned, but I have them like second or third highest owned. Let's put it that way. So Mets, Minaya certainly makes sense to me.
Yeah, I like Minaya, I guess. The slate, just because of the slate. Yeah. Excuse me. He has put up more than 35 twice in his last 3 starts. It's basically a minor league team in Miami. Although I would say that this Jake Berger has just been unbelievably on fire. Like I think he's hit 14 home runs his last 20 games. That's an incredible thing to do. That's a lot. So if I'm not playing Minaya, I would probably just consider Berger, maybe even a mini stack from Miami. But I as of right now, because of the slate, I do like Minaya, and I think there's plenty of upside there. The Mets are going to be pretty popular, and I don't have an issue with it. I think I'm okay with it, but I feel like I'd like to find something a little bit better. I personally think I like Baltimore a little bit better than I like the Mets. Mets are a little bit cheaper, so maybe that's why they're showing up there. But I could certainly be talking to the Mets. I just think that they're going to be a little more popular than I'd like.
Well, basically, what's going on? I mean, you're gonna have the Padres, at Colorado,
yeah,
and then you're gonna have the Dodgers and the Mets, or the two just natural non-course things, So Mets are gonna take money, but they're not gonna be the highest owned. It's still gonna be the Padres.
No. But I think that as of right now that they will be more owned than the Dodgers.
I have it close, but yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah. Is Munoz? Alan's asking if Munoz is a way to get different. He's not going to be a way to get different for me. Not on this kind of a slate. I understand it, that trying to get it just doesn't make enough sense to me. No. All right. Here comes the 20 for Munoz tonight. Minnesota and Texas. What do you like here, Sheets?
What is this, Heaney?
Yeah.
I'm not getting there. Just today, I don't know. I'm just not getting there, and I'm not getting to Texas, not getting to Minnesota, not getting to the pitchers. I'm not getting anything from this game.
I think I have to throw like Minnesota as one of the teams to consider just because it's Heaney and we see two different versions. Minnesota's got the second best WRC plus against left-handed pitching this season. They've been really elite. And I think if there was a time to play them, this is to get them at low ownership in a decent spot. It certainly would be okay with me. But they're a little bit, again, not my priority stack, but definitely a team I'm considering to get off the board. And I don't think I'm going to get to any of the pitching here. I considered it. I think Heaney's going to get a little bit of ownership, but not much. I just don't think it's a good enough spot for me. And if Texas could hit anymore, I would play them. I'm getting kind of fed up. We don't even know if Seager's going to play because he ended up getting scratched yesterday. So I just don't want to play Texas without Seager. All right. Next up, we have Cleveland and Milwaukee.
Yeah, I guess it's just because it's a really, really small slate. But well, I mean, it's not that small. For whatever reason, I'm getting this Gavin Williams as not the priority, but right in there as like my second tier. Seems a little scary to play pitchers against Milwaukee, honestly. And Gavin Williams never really done anything for me, so I don't know why I'm getting there, but I am. And I'm also getting some Cleveland. Again, not the top three or anything like that, but remember, anything except for Padres, Mets, Dodgers is going to be like really, I would say really low owned, but lower owned. So I'll throw Cleveland in, along with like Baltimore, as a possible pivot. So yeah, Gavin Williams, hold your nose, and maybe Cleveland, hold your nose. That's the best I can come up with here.
I don't think it's that much hold your nose. Milwaukee strikes out a bunch. They strike out they have the 26% strikeout rate against right-handed pitching. I wouldn't play lefties against them in general. And also, this is, you got I don't know. So I actually think this is a two-pronger for me. I like Williams. He's probably going to end up being a priority pitcher for me. I also think you could make a case for the Milwaukee stack. Maybe it's not ideal because you got the great bullpen behind Williams and all that stuff. But you got Tyler Black in there at 2.7 batting third. It's pretty cheap, at least for pieces. Garrett Mitchell should be somewhere in the order at 3.1 or so. I don't know. I think it's kind of interesting to get maybe a mini stack of Milwaukee, but probably not going to go full stack. But I do think Williams is one of the pitchers I have makes the most sense. He's super cheap. They strike out enough, so I'm going to go with it. But I also do think Milwaukee has some upside here.
So this next game is the second part of the chalk pitching combination. Arrighetti against the White Sox. I mean, Arrighetti himself has been, showing some good upside, and the White Sox certainly allow good upside to pitchers. So alongside of Minaya, I mean, he certainly completes the top most obvious pitching combination. I'm not getting to Houston, but it's kind of ignorant to just say I don't want to play Houston. You know what I mean? They're home. They smash the ball at home. They're always good for 10. And unless something's going on with the White Sox, where I mean, who's pitching? Is it Crochet? It is Crochet. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's, I guess, the only reason I might not. But he himself has not exactly been great.
Let's play it through. When the White Sox gave up on the season, they decided they're not going to let him pitch at all. So after making that decision, he's struggled somewhat, but it's not even that he's struggled. He's not even pitching. I mean, he pitched 4 innings and gave up no hits or 1 hit, and they took him out of the game. So that's really the issue. But he's still one of the best 10 pitchers in baseball, in my opinion. At least he's going to be next year. It's a matter of when they care about baseball again.
But I don't know if they can get to him at all, or whatever it takes to get him out of the game.
Yeah, terrible bullpen behind him.
I mean, then you got like huge upside for the Astros at home here. So as usual, for whatever reason, they just are not projecting well. I don't know why. They never do, for some reason.
So they pulled up this guy this Shea Whitcomb, who's 2K also, and they've got Pedro Leon, who's 2K. So I actually think that they're they're gonna sneaky potentially get more ownership than people think.
For Houston, you mean? Oh, I didn't know these guys exist.
Called up two guys who are both 2K or
okay.
been around. But if you got two 2K guys and they've got another guy who's 2,400, so maybe just based on the numbers alone, I think just from I would just none of my strategy stuff would tell me to play Houston, except for that numbers wise, these guys are going to make a lot of sense. And like you said, Crochet hasn't been as good. If you get him out, get rid of him in the third or fourth inning, maybe you can get to beat up on that White Sox bullpen a little bit. I think it's kind of a clever idea, Sheets, and I don't think that many people are going to play it as a full stack. I do think people are going to play like the Whitcomb part of it, but maybe more than is being projected just because of how cheap they are.
Well, here they are: Shea Whitcomb, Pedro Leon. I didn't exactly project them yet. I mean, I have them going to play the hitting 6th and 9th. I haven't projected right here. But I didn't project them yet, so I imagined if I did.
And they're not guaranteed. The Whitcomb is not a guarantee. They have this DeCenzo guy who they might be playing also.
He's not bad, the DeCenzo guy, I think.
Yeah, we'll see. He's had he's played 5 games so far, and he hit a home run in 2 of them, I think.
Yeah.
That's good enough for me at 2.9. Anyway, it is an interesting game though, for sure. And I think Arrighetti is clearly the chalk. I really don't know what the argument would be against he's clearly, if you're playing cash, you're playing Arrighetti. It's not even a question. That's it. I don't think that. That's all I can say about it. They have a 2.75 total, the White Sox. All right.
So the Dodgers are obviously in play. They're always in play, and today they're in play. They're not going to be the highest owned stack on the board because of the presence of the Padres, and as you brought up, maybe the Mets and maybe the Astros, after all. You know what I mean? If these guys both get in the game, and they have one of them hitting 6th, making that stack more. I don't think they'll get up to. I don't think the Astros will get up to Padres, Mets, Dodgers, but they'll get some. They'll get some ownership. The people will play them. So the Dodgers will be tame. Mikolas has tricks, and he's going to need all of them. You know what I mean? Against the Dodgers. So I got no problem just playing the Dodgers as usual. I don't know who the pitcher. I think I remember the pitcher from somewhere, but I'm not playing him from the Dodgers. So just Dodgers or nothing here.
Yeah. So I'm in on the Dodgers. The problem is the only thing I hate about stacking against Mikolas is that he just doesn't walk anybody.
Well, good. Let us get hits then.
I guess they all get hits. It's just harder. It's harder to stack it up and score a million runs. But it's an 8-game slate. You may not need a million, but you're going to have tremendous power upside here. It's 90 degrees in St. Louis. Very hard for me not to make the Dodgers a priority, and I don't really have any reason not to. And there are going to be ways to stack it. Freddie Freeman and Shohei don't generally get played together all that much. It's really hard to get those guys in with Will Smith and Mookie Betts. It's really hard to get all the 4 best guys in. I think Teoscar is the one who gets a little bit overlooked maybe today. So I like the Dodgers. They'll have a little bit of ownership, as you mentioned, but the Justin Robleski, I think on this kind of a slate, it's okay to play him. It's not my favorite thing in the world. It sort of fits a little bit into a poor man's Gavin Williams play. Gavin Williams, I think, has more upside. But if you wanted another cheap one, Robleski is certainly viable enough against pretty embarrassingly bad Cardinal offense that actually, are we overlooking the Cardinals maybe being in play, Sheets?
I thought of that.
I think it makes a little bit of sense. They haven't been great this season, but they've got some cheap spots and they're just all manageable price, except for Contreras, and he's awesome. So it's good hitting weather for them. I'm going to throw St. Louis into the mix. Milwaukee guys did it for me yesterday. I got the right pieces, so I'm going back to it and going against my Dodgers a little bit today.
All right, so I have a question for you. Is it time?
Is it time for what?
Is it time? Is it time for Quantrill or no?
Oh my God, I didn't think that was going to be a question.
I don't know. I mean, San Diego's on the board, and every once in a while we talk about Quantrill not being that bad. And I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's get back to it. Padres are the top stack on the board. They're the highest owned at Colorado. And just be careful if you play, Arrighetti, Manaea, Padres. It's going to be tough.
Yeah.
I think you could make a case for Waldron against the Rockies. You can make a case for anybody against the Rockies. Again, certainly not the best play, but again, just try to get different. And listen, if you want max annoying leverage, I mean, you play freaking Quantrill. I mean, he has his upside in there somewhere. You know, I don't know. We'll find out.
I don't know.
At 7% ownership against a 30% owned stack. I mean,
sure. It's just
I just don't know the answer to
that's
that.
the lowest strikeout prop I've ever seen.
What is it, like 2.5 or something? What is it?
2.8. So 2.5. 2.5 would be the prop. 2.8 is the expected strikeout.
Yeah.
That's absurd. How can you have a 2.5 strikeout prop for a starting pitcher?
You know, I might just try that.
Oh my gosh, jeez. I know. It's
over 2.5 strikeouts.
Let's see. I mean, he's been over 2.5 almost every game. Like, he's had a couple of ones. Yeah. And I guess to make it so not everybody thinks Sheets is crazy out there for bringing Quantrill up. Quantrill has actually been better at home than he is on the road for whatever reason. I don't think there's any way in the world I can make this play, but I kind of like, I'm not, if it was yesterday's 3-gamer Sheets, I'd be totally on board with you. I'd be like begging to play Quantrill at no ownership in a 3-game slate, but I can't do it on this slate.
Bobby, let me tell you something else, by the way. Manny Machado can get 2.5 strikeouts in his own.
Can he? Okay. You know what? I love to see that, but I just don't think I can do it. I've never seen a strikeout prop like that. I've never seen it. I've never seen it like this. I literally have seen relievers with higher strikeout props than this. All right. So I think that the best way to get different is to hope Quantrill gets through it. I think he can manage a game. I think he can put up 10 fantasy points. You know what I mean? He can put up 10 or 12.
What that'll do is hopefully keep the Padres from scoring 10. You know,
right, exactly. And I think what you do is you play the Rockies here. It seems very obvious.
Yeah.
I think you could play some Waldron. So it's always interesting to me when you have a game in Coors, and with Colorado being as bad as they've been offensively this year. What you'd think Waldron would have shown up a little bit. They just didn't lower his price at all. So I think if he was 6.8, people would be playing him, but at 7.8, no one will. So I think you could make that same case though if we're not going to play Waldron in Coors and we're going to play San Diego, why wouldn't we play the Rockies? I think there is something's got to give there on one side or the other. So I like the idea of getting to the Rockies. It's 91 degrees in Colorado today. And they are going to be super low owned. They are actually not. They're going to be like the 5th they're further. They're probably going to be like the 7th or 8th highest owned stack. So let's play the Rockies. That's my other team. San Diego. You know my rule. I will not play them as a full stack, but I have no issue with using them as complementary pieces if I get.
So don't count everybody's money quite yet, okay? Because there is one more game, and I think both sides of the Atlanta side of this have upside. I think the pitcher's got upside. And I think the team has upside. So I do have Spencer Schwallenbach or whatever as the rest of my second tier to remind everybody. I have Arrighetti Minaya at the top, and then Burns, Gavin Williams, and Spencer Schwallenbach. And then Atlanta fills out the rest of my pivot stacks. I had my pivot stacks are Cleveland, Baltimore, Atlanta, Colorado, and the big old late night hammer of Schwallenbach in Atlanta to sweep past the field. I don't know. I think it's very, very playable. I think that it's going to be is Atlanta going to be higher owned than Houston? I think if those Houston cheapos get in, I think that even Atlanta will be lower owned than Houston. I think so. I kind of like it. Yeah,
I can get behind the Schwallenbach. The price is a little jarring to me.
Oh, it is very jarring.
It's I know he's been really, really good since the All-Star break, but that just feels like a high price. And
his projection is actually lower than Arrighetti's, who's $1,300 lower.
Right. I like him though. I thought I was going to be playing I didn't look at the whole ownership when I first looked today, and I thought I'd be getting him at low ownership. The people won't want to pay this price. But it looks like they do want to pay the price, so he's gonna get some ownership. I am good with the idea of Atlanta. I just think that I've got too many other stacks that I like a little bit better, and that's pretty much my only reason for it. Because I do think Atlanta is, it's almost 80 degrees, nice hot summer here in California, so it's going to be 80 degrees at 10 Eastern. I think this is totally a reasonable spot, and Soriano is a little bit of a mixed bag, but he's actually been mostly really good lately. So Atlanta would show up on a small, like if I didn't like so many other stacks, but because of the way it is, that they're not going to. I think I have my favorite pitchers as of right now are Arrighetti, Minaya. I think Schwellenbach and Williams are the next two, and then you consider Burns and Robleski would be the ones on the outside looking in probably. I like the Baltimore, Dodgers, Colorado, and I think St. Louis, San Diego, Minnesota, and the Mets will be my side pieces.
I got one more thing to share, and only because we touched on it for a second. I'm just looking at the ownerships again here, and Andrew Heaney's 10%. We talked about. You reminded me that you should always play a little stack against Heaney, which is true, but Heaney himself at 10% is probably worth including in your mix, considering like all these other guys. Like,
I agree.
Okay, let's call it what it is. So Arrighetti's got the better matchup. He's the better. He's got the better upside. Or it is. But we're talking about 40% owned versus 10. And then you have like all these guys are like 20% and higher. You get Heaney, who's every once in a while can put up a game at 10% ownership. He's gonna listen. It's one of those things where I'm not going to force him in, but if he makes my builds, I'm actually going to be pretty happy about it.
Can I throw out though that if you're going to consider Heaney, shouldn't you consider Soriano?
I guess.
I mean, he's got the hires. He's supposed to strike out more guys. He's been consistently really good.
Atlanta, he's 10% also. Yeah, maybe.
I think he might even be less by the time he blocks. And I'll figure out if there's ever going to be a time where I'm going to take this gamble on Crochet again. I don't know if it's going to happen.
I thought of that.
It's so hard when the guy's so much better of a pitcher than everybody else in the slate, or at least so much better of a DFS. He's just the best strikeout pitcher that we have, basically, except for.
Well, I'll tell you something else. Okay, so I guess they're under strict orders to not let him pitch or whatever. Mm-hmm. But how strict is it? You know what I mean? Because we thought about how many did the new manager let him go in his last start?
Well, he got lit up, and that's the problem.
Well, so was it against a really good team, right?
No, it was against the Cubs.
Right. They were trying to get into that whole rivalry thing. But,
yeah, and I think there was. I still liked my speculation that day that if he was cruising, I think they would have let him go.
Well. Again, there are certain teams that teams, managers, and baseball guys like to get up for, and one is your White Sox Cubs rivalry, and you have to think everybody's kind of get after the Astros. You know what I mean? So, God forbid he is off to a good start here.
Like, what if he has a no-hitter through 5 and through 6 and he's thrown 75 pitches?
And not even that, but let's say he's through 3. You know what I mean? Like, and they got like a 1-0 lead, and you have a chance to win in Houston. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. The manager's probably not staying anyway next year. Let him get a couple of signature wins, maybe. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Look, if he was just a tiny bit cheaper, I would be gambling on it because he still has what? Like, I'm looking at the expected strikeouts today, and I think he's like 5th on the most that have the most strikeouts, and yet he's projected to throw the fewest pitches of any pitcher.
What do they give him? 70 or something?
74.
Oh, goodness.
Oh no, now it's 76. I think it's going to creep up to 80 by the time. I think they want to. The truth is, it should be 80. Like, if you're going to try to limit him, keep it to 80 or under. Don't try to keep it to like set a weird number that you'd never make a start with. Try to make it like at least somewhat normal. 80 to 85 is what it should be, in my opinion. At least what most teams do. Anyway, it should be a fun slate. I'm looking forward to it.
Hang on, just so you see what we did here. So the initial SaberSim run, before I did the Sims, people may have noticed, Cleveland is taking a lot of love here. My initial run, again, without simming it, is like 65% Cleveland, followed by the Mets, Dodgers, Atlanta, and all. Not until then do you get to San Diego, which is somewhat interesting. I'd be happy with that. I'd be very happy with getting to anybody except for the Padres if I could.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. Well, it should be a fun one. We'll be live at 6. Sheets, are you going to be around this evening?
I will.
Yeah. What did you say?
Yeah, I'll be good. I'll be good for 6.
Okay, great. All right. Well, let's have a good, successful thing going into the weekend, and hopefully golf starts turning around. By the way, it's interesting to note that the top 7 golfers in this tournament right now, all except Hideki, are below 10% owned on a 70-man field. Kind of wild.
And there you have it.
It'll even out by the end of the thing, but it's kind of wild.